So, big story today, of course. The long-awaited report is finally out. Yesterday saw Sue Gray's findings into the parties at Downing Street being published, although they were limited due to the current Metropolitan Police investigation. But despite the damning findings in her report, Boris Johnson is still refusing to quit and instead had this to say. So, Janet, Bob the Builder Boris, can he fix it? Can he be trusted? The word trust bandied about there.
Well, the word trust is the key word, and I think there's not a lot of trust between the public and Boris Johnson at the moment. Sue Gray said she thought there had been a failure in leadership, and I think that's a key phrase. The leader of this country is Boris Johnson. So who else is she talking about? And it's interesting to look at what Boris was doing yesterday morning. Boris, faced with this happening in the afternoon, the publication of this report, making all the front pages, he was in Tilbury Docks, sitting on a forklift truck. Now, for the last few weeks, every single day, more or less, Boris Johnson has been photographed in a hospital ward, on a building site, in Anglesey, looking at a quarry. I mean, he has been all over the country, putting himself on the front page in a hard hat.
But when he's doing that, Janet, because he does love a photo opportunity.
Yes, he loves the photo shoot.
Are people saying, I think you were saying, you listened to a politician this morning saying, actually, even though people go, this is terrible what's been happening in the parties, they still, a lot of them, actually find Boris very charismatic.
Yes, one of the Red Wall MPs this morning on the radio said if Boris Johnson walked down, you know, the main street in my constituency, excuse me, people would still find him charismatic. I find that incredibly depressing. But the fact of the matter is that in Tory constituencies and in the Tory heartland of the southeast of England, people are looking at all of this and they're saying, hello, I wasn't behaving like that. I didn't wheel in a suitcase full of booze every Friday. And they're just not buying Boris's flannel that, you know, telling newspapers, no matter what comes out in the police investigation, I haven't done anything wrong and I can justify everything I did. And increasingly, you just think, well, who are you trying to fool? I just think there's an erosion of trust here. Like, we all trusted him. We got through the pandemic. We abided by the rules. And now this report just seems to be revealing there was a completely different climate of way of behaving going on in Downing Street. And the second thing is that if it has now to fix it, he chucks a load of people out of their job, he rearranges his office and so on and brings in a kind of CEO to run everything in Downing Street. The bottom line is the man at the top is still the man that we expect to run the country, not just delegate it to everybody else. And what you've got to ask yourself is, can a man of 57 really change?
Maybe he can't personally, but maybe he can change the culture that's there.
Well, have a look at what...
culture of drinking, Brenda. And, you know, this word trust, and I know that you're very angry about it, because while most of us were abiding by the rules, not seeing relatives, not seeing family...
And not being able to bury your relatives. You know, you have to stay away, you can't hug this person if they're sick. I totally 100% agree with what Janet's saying. The trust has been broken, and once you've broken that, it's not an easy fix, and it's not just about bouting out some you know, nursery rhyme and...
But then what do you want him to do? Would you want him to resign?
Well, the whole thing is, everybody's been waiting for this Sue Gray report, and now the Sue Gray report is here. It's like we're ignoring it, and now we're going to wait for the police report. It's just...
Well, was there anything, Katie, in the Sue Gray report that surprised you? I have to say there was nothing that surprised me. It's like, they've had some parties. Oh, yeah, well, we kind of knew that.
None of the behaviour surprised me, but it's the comparison, you know. Our culture was snitch on your neighbours. If you see them having a barbecue, if you see more cars on the driveway, report them, and it will be followed with a hefty fine. Some people got hit with £5,000–10,000 fines that they paid because they're law-abiding citizens. So I think it's that comparison that's difficult, because I'm by no means Boris's biggest supporter, but he did give us a successful vaccine rollout. He did, you know, go in with the testing, and we are where we are because of him. But I think that comparison of what we, you know, the standard we were held to compared to him. But for me, I am sick of hearing about cheese and wine and ABBA parties. I don't care. You know, we saw yesterday in the news he missed a call from Putin. It's a distraction.
Well, I mean, that makes us a laughingstock, Janet, surely.
Absolutely.
That at a time like this, with Russia looking like they could
isn't it
invade...
interesting that Theresa May, who hasn't said very much, she said something last week, look at what she said yesterday. I mean, she'd obviously been at home practising it in front of the makeup mirror.
Yeah.
Let's wait. And actually, I read today that it said, you know, the police report and saying, we're hoping this won't take longer than a year. I was like, longer than a year?
But why can't
would
you
it
just
take
answer the
anywhere
question?
near a year?
She asked, was it this, or was it that? Or is it... I think it's the latter. It's number 10 and the rules don't apply. And if you know, the thing with a lot of people, I think they hear him saying sorry, but he's not actually sorry. I think he's just sorry that he got caught, and that's why he's apologising. It's just empty.
But would you follow it? But the big question, I suppose, now as well, A, will he resign? Looks unlikely. But if, let's hope not, there was another variant of COVID and they said, well, like, we might have to have restrictions again.
If they made a request of us now, yes, exactly.
We'd have to.
Well, I'm so old, I remember the 3-day week. I remember the lights going out, buying a little generator and having a choice, you know, one light bulb on or not able to dry my hair or do anything. So, you know, there are people of my generation who remember things that happened in the past where, you know, life was tough for a certain period of time. Now, we've been through the pandemic, we've given up so much. If, as you say, we were asked to do it again, and that request came from Boris Johnson, I think most people would go, you're having a laugh. Do it, lead by example.
Yeah, I agree with Janet in that the respect has gone and in some aspects the fear. But then if science came out, you know, I think for me, when I did it for 2 reasons. One, I'm in a public job. I didn't want to lose my job by breaking the law, breaking rules. But 2, I genuinely believed if I breached those rules, I might kill my parents, my grandparents. I might wipe out the whole nursery my kids go to, and I didn't want to do that.
People are saying. I need to move on because I've got another topic, but I think people were saying, yes, we all believed that because everything we were being told was like, I can't see my mum, I want to see my mum, but I'm not going to fight this because I've got to protect her, I've got to protect the other people where she lives. Well, the people at number 10 Downing Street didn't seem to be very frightened about this killer.
That's the issue.
They were dancing to ABBA.
Anyway, it's not...
or not, as the case may be.
It's obviously not the last that we will hear about this or the last that we will be talking about it, I'm sure. But